Hello and welcome to episode 92. We are in the land of confusion, Tony, apparently. But before we go ahead, my name is Dr. KK and I'm the innovation officer at Inago and Trinka. And Tony, who does not seem to be in the same land as I am. Hi,
I
Tony.
am permanently in a land of confusion, KK. I mean, there's so much happening in our world today that I'm confused as to what people's motivations are. Hello, everyone. I'm Tony O'Rourke. I'm Vice President for Partnerships here at Inago. Welcome to PubShorts, which is a regular podcast that KK and I record, where we discuss stories that have appeared that concern research communication in the broadest sense, whether it's technology, whether it's legal, whether it's policy related. We just look at stories that we think researchers and publishers should be interested in being aware of and finding out more about.
Excellent. So, why are we calling this a land of
Well,
confusion,
yeah,
Tony? Yeah.
that's a good question. The entire publishing landscape is a confusing one at the moment, particularly for a new researcher. You know, by the way, we name episodes after British pop songs, and this particular song is by the English group Genesis
Mm-hmm.
from 1986, I think. And the song explores a sense of unease with the state of the world
Mm-hmm.
and the gap between perception and reality. What you think is true and what actually is true. So what we're doing in this episode is highlighting the confusing and very often mixed signals that authors have to face today when considering what to do with their research.
Considering that we have had 92 songs, I think this is probably one of the best suggestions. I don't know who came up with it, but full marks to the person who came up with the
Well done
suggestion.
to them.
Yeah.
Yes, what a great thing.
All right. So we are moving on to the stories. We start with the story about confusion itself, and we are talking about the article published in the Scholarly Kitchen, titled "Confused and Ambivalent: Scholarly Authors and Creative Common Licenses." So it's written by Rick Anderson, who always has some interesting things to talk about. So this is based on a AAAS survey that highlights that many authors are unfamiliar with open licenses, which is not surprising at all. Even we both have talked about on this, and authors are wary of potential commercial uses of their work. There's a desire for more control over how work is reused, and the open access movement is seeking to remove authors' control and to promote free use of the content that they generate or the research that they generate. And authors, Tony, are feeling conflicted about licensing their work openly due to potential misuse. Licensing decisions often influenced by audiences, reach and access to work. Licensing decisions are often influenced by audience reach and access to work. And some authors care deeply about the integrity and proper use of their work. So it invites discussions on these topics. And look, I'm openly and admittedly not knowledgeable enough in terms of licensing these. I believe, Tony, you are much better at it, but yet we probably can agree that there's a need for such conversations to take place.
There absolutely is a
Yeah.
need for this, and I think we talked. Funny enough, we talked about this internally not that long ago with Edinago
Yeah.
about the need to educate researchers in terms of what are their rights when it comes to publishing your paper.
Mm-hmm.
What ownership do you have of your content once it's been submitted and been accepted as a publication? If very often, and it certainly used to be the case pretty much all the time, if you were to submit a paper to a respected journal or book, whatever it might be, what you're effectively doing, the publisher would then be asking you to hand over whatever rights you would have in that content. So for you to be able to repurpose it in the future,
Right.
historically would have been quite difficult without getting permission from the author. And actually, sometimes even paying from the publisher, sometimes paying a fee. So this is why the Creative Commons licenses existed or were created long, maybe 20 plus years ago. And there were 6 different types of Creative Commons license,
Mm-hmm.
which and the one that you choose, it depends very much on the type of what you want to do with that paper. There's yeah. I would urge you, if you're serious about submitting your paper and there's a Creative Commons license, make sure you pick the right one. And there are 6 types. Sometimes they'll be mandated by the publisher. Sometimes you may be requested under which conditions would you like to. If generally the rule with Creative Commons is that you're retaining greater control. It's how that content is then used further down the line. Can it be made accessible to anybody? Is it totally uncontrolled? Is there a commercial aspect to it. You want to license that content, for example.
Mm.
So make sure you pick the right CC license before you publish, or when you publish, or
Yeah.
make sure you work with the right publisher that has the right conditions in place.
Yeah, and for clarity, the AAA stands for American Association of Advancement of Science, and that's a survey that we're talking about. And if you're interested in knowing more about licensing from a researcher point of view, if you're a researcher listening to Tony and I speak about our own confusions about licenses, you are welcome to check out Inago Academy's courses, which have explanations and articles about the differences between these licenses. Just search for Inago Academy, and you'll find the courses, and we'd be happy to hear from you about what you thought about that. And moving on, Tony, to another news article from STM Publishing News. It's titled Liber. I'm using that as a pronunciation. Liber launches a task force on artificial intelligence. The task force aim is to guide librarians in AI literacy and strategic approaches. It's part of its strategy in 2023 and to 2027. And there is an annual conference in Switzerland. I forget the name of the town.
Lausanne.
Lausanne. Have you been to Lausanne?
I've been to Lausanne, but I've not been. I haven't been to Liber conference since 1999, maybe. That's the last time I attended one.
Right, back before Y2K was a thing, Tony.
Oh yeah, the Y2 hair.
AI task force will tackle issues like copyright, publishing, and research data, and will connect existing Liber AI activities and expand them. So it's a wonderful initiative, and we often do not talk too much about the effects or consequences of AI from the point of view of libraries, even though it's a powerful tool in terms of knowledge discovery and library catalog and metadata cleanup, etc. So
I mean, and Liber is a strong organisation. Liber stands for the International League of European Research Libraries, if I remember rightly. So it's a large organisation with membership of all the major research libraries in Europe. Most of them are part of it. And their conference used to be a closed conference. It's now, I think, it's a more open conference.
Right.
But yeah, their focus is in terms of providing education and best practice for research libraries. And there is a concern because, libraries are often the first port of call for the researcher, for a new researcher, in terms of understanding how to use content. Well, how to use research tools as well is becoming increasingly part of the library conversation.
All right, another news article from STM Publishing News. This one is about infrastructure, and it is titled Silverchair Transforms Author Experience with Scholar One Gateway. And so it's a new hub for authors working with publishers. It aims to revolutionize submission peer review processes and addresses only major pain points in peer review. And this gateway provides unified interface for interacting with multiple journals, and eventually would offer a seamless experience designed to eliminate frustration and confusion. So it's we obviously work with Scholar One and Silverchair in terms of some of our automations, and this will prove useful even for us. But it's a wonderful initiative because we've talked about infrastructure, the scholarly publishing infrastructure needing to be more, say, collaborative and communicating with the right systems, and this would also allow us to, or anybody to, actually integrate their solutions in terms of research integrity screening and maybe things like the peer review assistant as well. So excellent work. Any further thoughts on this?
It's as you say, it's essential. So many publishers use some Scholar One, for example, as their submission gateway. There are lots and lots of different tools out there which need to integrate with it. So this hopefully will make the whole process a much easier one for publishers and for tool providers like us, for example, to be able to integrate their tools as part of those Scholar One workflows.
Excellent. If you're interested in knowing more about the tools that we are talking about, you can visit inago.com/publishers, and you'll find all the things, including the AI peer review assistant. And if you are interested in having a conversation with us, please reach out to me or Tony by our emails or on LinkedIn, and we'd be happy to show you around. All right, Tony. We are back to a guest post on the Scholarly Kitchen. This is titled Guest Post, the accessibility illusion when AI simplification fails the users with cognitive difficulty. So this is a wonderful sort of a slice of a problem that we have discussed in many episodes. So we've talked about AI summaries in general, maybe not being factually accurate and actually taking away from some of the important content, and also leading to decrease in traffic in the actual publishers and journals web pages. But this one is more about people with cognitive difficulties, or the audience with cognitive difficulties. And
Yeah.
AI simplification can distort meaning, particularly in technical fields, obviously, like science. Just in AI general summary, and it is primarily based on experiments with GPT-4, which is the open AI's ChatGPT language model, which is based out of. And simplified AI outputs can overlook many important methodological details. And the main comment by the author, Hema Thakur, is that there needs to be domain-specific AI tools for better accessibility without losing intent. And human review and domain knowledge are critical to ensure that these AI-related, I guess, transformations, including simplifications, are remain factually accurate. And Tony, you and I have talked about it. This is why our AI peer review assistant has the human at its center, or the human peer reviewer at its center, and the
Yeah.
peer reviewer is given information and has to make the decision. And it is not an AI guiding the human; it's a human using AI to guide themselves. Your
Yeah,
thoughts?
and it's really interesting, KK, because in a broader sense, accessibility is very much a hot topic. In terms of not ensuring that uh, researchers with any kind of impairment are able to access the content in exactly the same way as somebody without those impairments. At the moment, from what I understand, the kind of guidelines, accessibility guidelines, are more limited to how one accesses the content. Um, so how things appear on screen. And I think what this highlights is the need to be able to not regulate but control how content is being summarized, and make sure it doesn't penalize that impaired user in any way
Yeah.
by using an AI. So I think what we see is those accessibility guidelines extending, I hope at least extending to these other kinds of services as well.
Yeah. And so this is an interesting image. If suppose you're watching this and following the screen share. So these are three sort of examples provided by the author. So technical precision, if the peer reviewer comment originally what site studies on high frequency identification techniques, the AI could simplify it to state site studies on high frequency data. Now this is okay, but from a tone sensitivity point of view, the next example is more sort of worrisome. So if the peer reviewer comment was the experimental technique is conventional, however, innovation design is lacking, then the AI simplified version could be the method is not novel. Then that's a vastly oversimplified, different sort of meaning sentence. And so this should not happen, is what the author is trying to say. And I completely understand the point of view, but from a cognitively challenged person, this is more concerning. We have to
Now,
talk
that's
about
what I'm saying. These accessibility standards have got to extend to other
yeah.
aspects of the research communication process as well, like this.
Yep, yep. So we have to consider accessibility across the spectrum, not for the average user, I would say, and that's what you also mentioned. Anyway, interesting conversation around this. Moving on to the next article. This is from Ars Technica, but it's about Google's AI overviews. So this is titled "Surprising No One: New Research Says AI Overview Causes a Massive Drop in Search Clicks." So it's done. The research is done by Pew Research Center, which analyzed the impact of AI overviews on web traffic, and obviously, as we all know, that it's decreasing clicks by almost half. Only 1% of AI overviews result in a click on a source. That's concerning, Tony. I mean, I would say if you're doing a regular Google search, you would most often click on at least one or two results, right? In this
At
case,
the top of the screen.
yeah, but still, I mean, you are still going to the actual source. In the AI overview case, as per Pew, which is very reputable, it is 1%, and sources like Wikipedia, YouTube, and Reddit account for 15% of the AI sources. Now, from among these three, I confess that I use all of them, especially Reddit, to evaluate information. But there needs to be more information from, let's say, reputable sources. Let's say you're searching for academic information, then maybe more journal sources. And users often end their browsing session after seeing the AI overview. And Google disagrees with the study's conclusions, in the sense that Google, obviously, from a commercial point of view, I would say it's disagree with the overall threat by AI overviews as well. And it maintains that AI features in search increase opportunities for website connections. So now, I would disagree with that. I mean, I'm concerned about this. I'm concerned about my own behavior, because I'm also increasingly starting to sort of stop at AI overviews, even though my
Oh,
tendencies.
I'm absolutely stopping. I probably not even half the time I just stop with the AI summary. I mean, how credible, how accurate it is another matter.
Yeah.
But generally, the AI summary is exactly what I need.
Well, that's what you think you need when
That's what I
where
think I need. Yeah.
yeah. All right. So this is concerning, but we'll have to keep again check on this and maybe modify our behaviors accordingly. And another Google story. It is Google DeepMind makes AI history with a gold medal win at the
Yeah, I
world's
read this.
toughest math competition. Now, this is concerning in the context of AGI as well as in general. We need to sort of constantly reassess where AI is in terms of scientific use cases. This is the first time, obviously, an AI has been officially recognized, and the CEO of, I guess, DeepMind, Demis Hassabis, praised the AI's ability to solve complex problems naturally. And DeepMind's approach stood out as compared to, let's say, I think OpenAI's, which did not adhere to the competition rules as well, apparently. And so DeepMind used natural language processing to eventually arrive at the answers to the math problems, which is mind-boggling for me. But it was able to solve 5 out of the 6 problems, showcasing very advanced reasoning. So now, Tony, back to the question. I think we talked about AGI, the turn of the year. What do you think? And should there be AI guardrails when such powerful AI is there for everybody to use? So your predictions first, and then your conversation about AI guardrails.
Oh, well, first of all, this isn't, in a sense, this kind of isn't a new story for me because I'm sure there were stories 10 years ago
Mm-hmm.
about how DeepMind or the equivalent, I think it was DeepMind, there was something at the time, which was being used, which was being pitted against human researchers and coming up on top. I think what we're seeing is it's a continuing conclusion. Look, with improving AI, improving LLMs, constantly, the quality is getting higher and higher. With the oncoming, arrival of things like quantum computing, this is kind of a natural thing. Surely, we want computers to be able to, well, we want AI to be able to do the kind of very, very intensive mathematical research, very complex mathematical equations quicker than humans, and as long as it
Yeah.
does it accurately. But there has to, as you say, there has to be some kind of control. There has to be some kind of guardrail to ensure that what's being generated, the results that have been generated, are in fact accurate.
All right. I think we are. Hold on. We at the start of the quick hits. Yeah, first we are at the start of the quick hits. The first one is EU's AI code ready for companies to sign next week, and I'm going to ask you what are the implications for, let's say, vendors like us who generate technologies and have, I guess, clients in EU. So this code helps AI providers to comply with EU's AI Act, and member states and the European Commission must approve the code. OpenAI plans to sign the code once it's finalized, and some tech giants fear the code might restrict innovation and conflict with copyright laws. The AI Act is being implemented in stages, regulating AI by its societal risks. We have talked about it, I think, many PubShorts episode ago, different societal risks as per the EU in terms. So I'm aware that this mostly pertains to the bigger, let's say, the generative AI type level companies like Google and OpenAI, etc. But we also use models made by them. So would this affect, Tony, some of our works or our tools and products, which eventually will be used by members, publishers, or I guess other
I
clients from this? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't I the EU, I think rightly is good at trying to sort of create, again, what you read into guardrails, measures, regulation, legislation, or at least even optional ones, to protect their populations against bad use of technology.
Mm-hmm.
If Then they're certainly not in the market of trying to disrupt business or disrupt growth or innovation. But what they just want to do is ensure there is some measure of control, that their technology isn't unregulated. It's not the Wild West. There has to be some measure of control here. So, is it going to impact on innovation? Well, possibly. If you're a German AI startup, you may be less inclined
Mm-hmm.
if there are strict regulation in place. But from what I understand, it's an optional framework. It's not a mandatory framework.
Okay.
So we'll have to see. I don't think so, but understandable concerns. If there's been no regulation before, no guidance before, now there's all of a sudden the EU,
Right.
which represents 500 million people, is saying this is what we need to you need to think about as an AI technology provider, then clearly, there's something they just need to work through.
All right. Next quick hit is from STM Publishing News. 67 bricks and bone and joint shortlisted for the Apps Innovation Award. So I think we talked about it in this collaboration. Basically, creates an AI-generated podcast series for the JBJS Journal of Bone and Joint Surgery called AI Talks with Bone and Joint, and it converts research PDFs into engaging podcasts. And it allows obviously the bone and joint community to keep up to date easily. And I'm from this field, Tony, orthopedic surgery, and I can this is I haven't personally experienced this, but I can imagine if suppose somebody is practicing to keep up with all the related research, and this would probably be at least a starting point. If suppose they can keep up with it, and if suppose they find something engaging and they want to
Yeah.
incorporate something into their practice, you can do the deep dive with the actual research PDF itself. But excellent, and they've been shortlisted, and I thought it was of personal interest to me. Your thoughts on this? As in, is more and more research going this way, like the Journal of Bone and Joint Surgery?
I welcome this kind of technology. It means that maybe in the future we can get an AI to summarize the papers and PubShorts
Yeah.
episode. Why maybe we should try it sometime.
Yeah.
No, I think with the volume of content that's being created, anything that can make it easy and digestible for a researcher to keep up to date with the latest papers, it's got to be a positive thing. And yeah, good luck to them, both of them in the Alps Awards.
Yeah, interestingly, this is one of those stories where I remember we mentioned this in this sort of development in episode 27 of PubShorts, and now episode 73 as well, and now episode 92. So interesting track of
is that right? There you go. It's not going away.
It's not going away, and it's staying, and it's, as I said, it's from a field of medicine as well. So anyway, moving on to the next quick hit. Meet Aenas. Is that right pronunciation, Tony? Aenas?
I don't speak Latin. I think it's Aeneas.
Aeneas. Okay, Aeneas, the AI that can fill
Aeneas.
the gaps of damaged Latin text. So one excellent use of AI. Aeneas is designed to restore damaged Latin text, and you can see some the infographic which explains. It works best when combined with human expertise and can predict the age and origin of ancient texts. And it restores missing sections. So it is not generative AI by itself. It uses a database of over 176,000 Latin inscriptions, and Aeneas was tested by 23 epigraphers, and it improves their accuracy. So this is a sort of good use of a very customized language model development for a specific use case. And this is obviously it is helpful in restoring languages, but there obviously is a lot of scope in terms of publishing automations as well. I'm sure you'll agree with this.
Oh, absolutely. I think this is a really, really practical, good use of AI.
Yeah. All right, and moving on to our last story. This I had to bring it as a last story because I think 2 episodes before we talked about the Velvet, Sunrise or whatever that is, the fake band. The Spotify's AI songs from dead artists, Tony. Now this is AI generated songs from dead artists spark fresh outrage over exploitation. So one example, Tony, includes a song attributed to Blake Foley. I don't know if you're familiar with the artist, a country singer who died in 1989. The songs were linked to a company called Syntax Error.
Right.
And calls are growing for platforms like Spotify to label AI generated content. Clearly, I mean, that's just basic accessibility. I think any platform should be labeling, okay, what has been used. Like how we talk about researchers needed to declare whether research output is AI generated or AI assisted or not. And Deezer, I was not aware of it. Deezer, I don't know if you have ever listened to Deezer, as in music on Deezer. It's a Spotify rival and has already started labeling AI generated content.
Yeah.
So interesting thoughts, and I drew a parallel with this. I mean, we've been talking about the need for disclosure of AI use and AI assistance in research manuscripts, and Spotify on the other extreme is not doing that when it is actually publishing AI generated music. So your thoughts on this?
No, I think it's a question of when. There will have to be some kind of watermarking in place to ensure that who the platform like Spotify or Amazon Music or whoever says the artist, it is actually the artist.
Yeah.
And that will help also in terms of disambiguation as well. I mean, I get frustrated using these platforms, searching for a particular artist, and then you're getting, artists who happen to be called the same thing, but completely not the same artist, looking for a folk song and getting a bit of EDM. It's always disturbing.
Yeah, and the
particularly for a man of my age.
and the artist that we covered, the fake, I guess, AI generated artist was the Velvet Sundown, and it is a inspiration for our title Velvet, I guess, Velvet Goldmine, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of episodes ago. And that, Tony, brings us to the end of this episode. This is episode 92, The Land of Confusion. Are you doing something to move away out of the land of confusion this weekend in terms of your musical journeys?
Nothing particularly musical, but certainly in terms of moving out, my daughter is moving out this weekend, and she's buying her first house.
Wow, that's
So I'll be helping her move from her current land of confusion to a new one.
excellent. And Tony, before we leave the listeners with our parting words, where can listeners find all the 91 previous episodes, if you can quickly?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can't believe this is now episode 92. It's incredible. We have episode 100 soon. So if you've enjoyed this episode and you'd like to see some previous episodes and different stories that we talked about, you can go to our PubShorts playlist on YouTube to search in Argo PubShorts, and you'll find all previous 91 episodes. We encourage you to send us comments. Press if you like it, press the like button, share it with your colleagues. And we look forward to hearing any comments and suggestions for future topics from you.
Excellent. Thank you, Tony. And that brings us to the end of this episode. And until the next time, this is Dr. KK signing off. We will see you in episode 93. Bye, Tony.
See you, KK. See you in the next one.